Okay, we're gonna watch this. The top 10 best RuneScape updates from the...
Hello YouTube, it's Tonix.
Oh my god, look at Tony, what is this?
So today I'll show you the top 10 best updates of the 2010s decade. And no, this does not include 2020 or 2021 for all you people asking. I understand that this video has been re-uploaded, but that's because I accidentally deleted it, in which case I will explain in a pinned comment in more
Flying up Earth every 7 months.
details. Number 10 on this list we have NXT, and that came out in 2016. NXT client would replace Java, which meant coding from 2016 onwards would be in C++. The reason being was because Java had...
I've never heard of this in my life. I've never seen this client. I really hope that I wasn't the only one. Thank you.
several limitations, as well as using CPU while ignoring the graphics card entirely. More computers have run smoothly on NXT than Java these days. Well, unless your computer is really old, that is. On top of that, graphics were overhauled, especially with skyboxes, and it increased the draw distance, which allowed us to see further away. While NXT had several bugs over the years, it was a huge change from the development side of the game, as it was easier to code and more modernized. Even though from a gameplay mechanics update it wasn't that big, it still made the top 10 because it brought better coding. Somehow I still miss the old Java client from the 2015 graphics, for some reason. Oh well. Moving on, at number 9 we have Menaphos and 120 Slayer, which I've both grouped them together, and that was released in 2017. The reason I grouped...
Fires, what are these updates? Menaphos? I don't know what this is. I thought this sounds like a boss in RS3.
Grouped them together was because they were released almost at around the same time.
Wait, this is RS3. I'm retarded. Actually,
Oh no!
Was RS3 here in 2017? Yes, it was.
Menaphos was essentially the mid-level version of Prif, and just like Prif itself, we have a Grand Exchange as well as a Daily Challenge Master. There are also 4 districts of Menaphos, in which case you could earn reputation for various unlocks. It added a lot of mid-level training methods for mining, fishing, cooking, woodcutting, etc. Alongside this, with the 120 Slayer update, we have the Sophanum Slayer dungeon as well as the personal Slayer dungeons for the high levels. During the pre-release of Menaphos, it was extremely hyped as it was first mentioned at...
I swear to God, I bet 99% of my chat doesn't know what the fuck this is. I don't know about you guys, but when RS3 first came out, I immediately quit. The only reason why I would ever log in back to RS3 is to spin the Squeal of Fortune, then log the fuck right off. I would literally spin the Squeal of Fortune, and then I would log right off, right after. I would spin it like once a day, and sometimes I didn't even spin it. I just said, fuck it. Everyone quit, oh. What, I quit the day after EOC. I'm gonna see this through to see if there's any older updates.
At least 12 years ago. At number 8 on this list, we have the Mining and Smithing rework, which came out in 2019. It's crazy to believe these skills have been out for such a long time, for a combined total of 36 years prior to this. Surely many people didn't like Stone Spirit drops, and people still don't like it to this day, but this update for the most part was amazing. For many years, mining and smithing just hasn't been proportional toward the equipment level. For example, it would require 99 smithing just to make tier 50 rune plate legs. Alongside level tier changes, new ores were added as well. Most
Bro, RS3 literally looks like Club Penguin with like what is that cape? That doesn't even look like a fucking private server. That's like Club Penguin. What is that?
Importantly, both skills have new mechanics used, which was most notably a progress bar. Mining rocks would no longer deplete, so that means there is no need to fight for resources.
Big O, I'll give you 50 subs to go play RS3 for the rest of the stream. Nah, I can't do it. I love you, Paxson, and thank you for the offer, but I would literally torture my whole chat if I played that game. It would just be torture for all of us, including myself.
The other cool part about this is that we can craft Elder Rune equipment, which is also very accessible for Ironman or anyone who wants a really cheap melee setup. Last but not least, we have Masterwork and Trim Masterwork, and that was introduced as both a repairable tier 90 and tier 92 set of armor respectively. Trim Masterwork essentially lets us eat through damage while you're meleeing, so that makes high level melee PVM a little safer compared to before. Coming at number 7 we have Bank Presets, which came out in 2014. Over the years, the bank has been revamped several times, and among these bank updates, Bank Presets are by far the most impactful change in RuneScape. Not only does this make production skills a lot faster, but it also allows you to quickly set up your bossing trips all in one click. You don't even have to...
I do agree that bank presets are badass. Chat, we're about to see the updates back in the pre-EOC times. We gotta wait for it. Patience, gentlemen.
Memorize what equipment and inventory setup you previously used. Prior to 2020, this is by far the biggest quality of life update. Now you could argue that placeholders are a bigger impact as many people have demanded this for many years, but the ability to load an inventory and equipment setup makes this game far more enjoyable. I mean, yeah, placeholders are nice, but it's mostly for organization purposes. Imagine RuneScape without bank presets. Think about how slow these production skills would have been, and you'd have to pretty much take a full picture of your PVM setup. Number 6, Araxxor 2014. This is the only boss I'll include here because there have been so many bosses introduced to RuneScape
11 years later, we have Araxxor and Tonix RS now.
Over the course of the 2010s decade. In 2020, a lot of people do bossing, but there is more to RuneScape than bossing when it comes to updates from the 2010s. It was really hard for me to pick a specific boss, but I think this is by far the most game-changing boss for high-level players. Originally, I picked Telos, but I changed my mind. Araxxor is more relatable in terms of impact towards this game. Surely a lot of people these days can do Telos with all the power creep, but Araxxor has changed the most because it introduced tier 92H weapons. It's among two missions, but those all came out in 20 files. At number 5, we have Dungeoneering, which...
I'm not gonna lie, chat, I took Dungeoneering for granted. I really liked the concept of Dungeoneering and I really liked it back then, but I was just so dog shit at the game.
Came out in 2010. This is the first ever 120 skill cap in RuneScape. Even to this day, the Dungeoneering skill has so many uses and nice unlocks. Originally, it gave us the incentive to do group activities, although many people nowadays would solo it anyways. Yeah, I remember World 77 back in the day when it was really populated. Anyway, so in terms of rewards from the Dungeoneering token shop, they are really amazing, especially Charming Imp, Bone Crusher, Ring of Vigor, Scroll of Cleansing, etc. And then the Elite Dungeon shop also introduced more than
the Arcane Stream necklace, the Ring of Vigor, all the chaotic weapons. What else was really good in the fucking shop? Was that it? Yeah, the chaotic rapier, the chaotics, all that.
Dungeoneering rewards. As a whole, these rewards are extremely impactful for both maxing and bossing journey. Even at the time of release when Dungeoneering was out, we had chaotic weapons, which were the first set of tier 80 weapons, and they were available as the best in slot. When it comes to the Dungeoneering mechanics, it was really fun and nice to explore and clear each and every single floor, although nowadays it just feels really repetitive and many people would just do sinkholes instead, or maybe daily challenges as well. Dungeoneering is one of those skills that utilize just about every other skill in RuneScape. And last but not least, regarding Dungeoneering,
bro, I was so fucking dog shit at Dungeoneering back then, it's so sad.
It opened up doors to eventually release Shifting Tombs and all 3 Elite Dungeons. Then after this, we have Invention, which came out in 2016.
What is this? Invention?
Now this is the first elite skill in RuneScape, and Invention brought a lot of content towards this game.
Oh my god, this is the guy that made it? What a surprise.
To be fair, on release it was a little bit lackluster, but we did get a batch 2 in mid-2017. Perks will give you various buffs including damage increase, damage reduction, and even perks that will help for skilling as well. It also paved way for item syncs.
That brother could take some of my neck. I got too much neck. He needed some of it.
For a lot of items like Divine Energies, high-level equipment, augmenter components, etc. So yeah, this skill absolutely changed the economy and it gave a lot of useless items some use. And then you got machines and devices which could be used for other quality of life benefits. The reason why we're eventually. Then at number 3 we have Ironman mode, which came out in 2014. For many years prior to EOC, people have gathered their resources and processed them. However, at the start of EOC, people realized just how to value their time and invest on better money-making methods rather than go the cheap route all the time where you gathered everything. So Jagex had to find a way for people to reprise their role in doing this, and that was where Ironman came along. You pretty much had to do everything yourself from scratch, and not use money analytics as the best route towards efficiency. It was just more resource based when it comes to this instead otherwise. The nice thing about Ironman is that you can flex your stats better because you really benefited without Treasure Hunter pretty much. One of the most exciting parts of Ironman is when you kill bosses, you get
I'm not gonna lie, Ironman in general is a great idea. I feel like a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of you guys are Ironman and fucking hardcores and shit like that.
to do group bosses,
And especially that group Ironman shit, that's a good ass idea too. Imagine just making a group with some of the boys and you guys play like every other day or whatever.
or share tips and tricks. At number 2, we have Elf City, which came out in 2014.
Damn, Prifddinas came out in 2014? I thought Prifddinas always existed. No, that makes sense actually, because I don't remember Bofa being back then in 2007.
We recognize Elf City nowadays as the bridge between high and low level players, and many players who step foot on this would find this a paradise. Nowadays we have Ward's Retreat, which kind of replaced Prif for those who didn't want to max before they bossed, but Prif truly was one of the most popular places before this update. Here's a fun fact. Prif was released in 2004 but didn't become accessible until 10 years later.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Because Prif
Unless he's just making shit up.
off skill and boss portals. A lot of people are told AFKs and what the
Oh my god, this is the worst one, guys. Be ready for this one. It hurts my heart even when I see it.
And finally, last but not least, at number 1, we have The Evolution of Combat, which came out.
Look what the video is titled, by the way. The top 10 best RuneScape updates. So he's saying it's like number 1 update of all time, like W. Oh no, what are you doing? Oh no. What? Boo, boo. Patrick, boo, boo. I need a Patrick boo with the chat, give me a second. This ruined the fucking game for me back then, I need to type this. Just gotta write it down a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, man. As soon as Evolution of Combat came out, I immediately quit. It was literally that bad.
In 2012. I'm gonna group this alongside RuneScape 3 and Revolution as they are very similar updates. While in the early days it generated a lot of negativity over imbalance and a whole new combat system being very complicated, over time people slowly got accustomed towards this. Unfortunately, the player base hasn't recovered since the start of EOC, as not everyone could adapt towards the complexity.
So how is it one of the best updates? Like, if like so many people quit.
Armor and weapon bonuses and damage calculation were completely changed. A lot of bosses and monsters were balanced around EOC mechanics. I'm gonna compare this to MapleStory, and this feels like RuneScape's version of MapleStory after the Big Bang patch. This absolutely
It's not about the complexity. It's not about the complexity is why we quit. It's just it was different from the game that we once played when we were younger. That's why we played RuneScape. You know what I mean? If we wanted to play a game with better graphics, then we would go do that. But we literally look at the graphics on RuneScape nowadays. It's literally called old school RuneScape. We play because we grew up, bro, playing this game. We like this game. You know what I mean? It's not about the complexity. We don't give a shit about the complexity. It's just about, bro, look at all this fucking new dog shit. Like, nobody wants to play this shit.
changed the entire
Like, this shit looks like a completely different game.
landscape of RuneScape, no pun intended. Looking back, it's crazy to believe just how long ago it was released. It allowed more customization towards interfaces, ability rotations, keybinds, etc. It also made skilling and killing monsters and pre-OC bosses like Nex and QBD tenfold faster. Now, many people who quit in 2011 would realize just how different this game looks thanks to EOC. Even though EOC made this game a lot more complex, it was just more action-packed, unlike a click and wait game.
Nah, bro. You're just shit. Like, no offense. Like, keep that shit hidden. Respectfully, bro. Respect.
I have covered the top 10 list, but we have one huge honorable mention, which goes to old school RuneScape in 2013. This is gonna be my only honorable mention because if I put other honorable mentions, this list would be very packed. Old school RuneScape became a compensation of all the EOC hate, which gave us a separate version of history.
How was this not the best update since 2010? When this shit came out, everybody and their mother was playing this fucking thing. Even until now, it has a big player base, to be honest.
Let's be real, even though OSRS and RS3 are separate communities, OSRS just deserves a big mention in this video.
In my opinion, if they didn't re-release OSRS, RuneScape would be nowhere near as successful as it is now. This is the only reason why I'm still playing. It's crazy to think about because I would never be streaming RS if they didn't re-release OS RS. Because I would have never played the fucking evolution of combat. I would have just kept playing private servers.
It gave RS3 a lot of exposure opportunities, even if RS3 can't keep a lot of players itself. So whenever the gaming world mentions RuneScape, although going to runescape.com would redirect on RS3 game, many people recognize OSRS graphics more instead of RS3. For the company of Jagex, I think releasing OSRS was a good thing.
Brother, we appreciate the video, Mr. Tonix RS. Shout out to you. The take on EOC was terrible though, bro. Respect. Appreciate the watch though, man. Thank you. I'm gonna like you out of respect, bro.
Hello YouTube, and...
Oh, look at you. Look at your smiling ass. We love that, bro. We love that. I gave you that like, my boy.